I was trafficked as a child, so my first time being trafficked was 13 years old, and I wasn't able to escape that life until I was almost 18, so a few months before my 18th birthday. My trafficker was not prosecuted, but he, continued on to traffic many other people and had trafficked many people before me. He also had a family who also trafficked people. So the fact that they're able to just keep kind of doing this over and over again needs to be stopped. My little sister, Blair Mosley, was trafficked and quickly declined. And so really I did this for her because yesterday was the anniversary of her passing, and so it really gave me something to pour into. And I know my sister wanted to be an attorney, like she wanted this. If she was here, she would have loved it. I can never get my sister back, and we can't undo what's done. While this doesn't end human trafficking, it does put a dent in it.
When I was being trafficked, the constant violence and the manipulation kept me confused and abused. And I think that there's a disconnect of the reality of what human trafficking is here. It's in our backyard. There was a 5-year study that was conducted, and over 13,000 people were trafficked in Sacramento County. I'm so glad that SB 14 was passed today, and I hope that it brings awareness to our community, because I believe that there is a disconnect between our legislature and our community and what is really going on. The passing of this bill means so much for the survivors like myself, the victims who still suffer, and the perpetrators to be prosecuted to the extent of the law that they need to be.
There's a lot that goes into human trafficking. It's sexual assault, it's molestation, it's domestic violence, and it starts at a very young age. I started being touched, and then I was groomed, and then I was trafficked. I didn't have a bill that would help me back then, but now we have a bill that just got out of public safety that is gonna go forward, and we're gonna just give a voice to the voiceless now. It's just amazing. It's amazing to know that it's finally going forward. It's such a victory, and we know that we're gonna help so many people now, so it's amazing.
I actually was a mother who had to take evidence into law enforcement that my daughter was being gang raped. That is actually when I came to realization that it wasn't just a gang rape, but my daughter was being trafficked. And so when I first heard about it, I was in denial, I was mad, I was angry, I was so confused, I was actually lost.
This is a very intense trauma that they experience, and this does not go away overnight. So even though this is something that they may just consider one day, to understand that the victims and the survivors, it's something that they live with for a lifetime.
If you understand the dynamics of what happens in human trafficking and what happens to these kids, the violence, the force, the continual sexual abuse, the degradation, it's indescribable. And the impact that it has for their life, right? This isn't something that they just get over. This is lifelong trauma. And it absolutely should be a violent and serious felony, because it is. And the people who are perpetrating the crime need to be able to be held responsible for what they are doing. They are devastating lives. And when we're not taking it seriously enough and we're not giving the correct penalties, we're just allowing it to continue. You are part of the problem if you allow it to continue.
This being a serious felony is imperative for traffickers to be held accountable and for survivors to get justice. And part of this bill, keeping traffickers away from those who have been exploited, is really vital because they actually feel more safe and protected when a perpetrator has a consequence and can no longer traffic them. I think that working with survivors for as long as we have, for 13 years, we know that sometimes there has been prosecutions that have happened for them. And so what Senator Grove really did a good job of was listening to survivors say that, and she made amendments to this bill very purposely and intentionally to make sure that survivors wouldn't be the ones who are prosecuted.
We have to stand for justice, and this bill supports justice for our victims. So many victims are criminalized, or were criminalized. Now with this bill, it's showing them that they have a voice now. They have someone speaking for them and helping them. And SB 14 will give them the backing to say that they can step up, and there is someone who is going to be there to support them and bring justice to their fight.
Let's be a voice for our children. If they can put this law into effect, Just think of the lives that they will be helping.
Because not only does it mean a lot to me, but to other parents who cry and say, the law is not protecting our children.
So I'm the author of SB 14, which is a bill that makes it a serious felony in the state of California to traffic a minor child. If someone sells a minor child for their own financial gain over and over and over again, this bill will make it a strikeable offense and have that perpetrator stay in prison for a longer amount of time. I often say when I talk about this bill that we could never unsee the things that we saw. And these survivors, they went through the things that we saw, and we heard their stories. And they told their stories of these horrific events that will forever affect their lives. And I just thank them for the opportunity to be able to work with them. And the victory that we had getting this bill out of public safety was huge.